Okay.
An insecurity I might have. I have sometimes, like it might come up, and especially when I was younger, when I got into a little bit more awareness, is a kind of vague term is, oh, these people don't like me. Right? That's like a surface thing. But what does that mean? They don't like you. They think you're mean. They think you're not valuable. So then I got older, and the insecurity was, if I do a joke, or if I'm not even doing a joke and I see somebody look away, am I annoying you? Am I bothering you? Like, and it would make me feel like the insecurity was specifically, am I bothering you? Are you able to explain what your version of that is? Because you said you're insecure all in life, not just performance. So could you give some examples of what that means?
I just feel like I constantly just doubt people's, like why would they want to be around me? Or like, what are your intentions with this? So, and now I doubt even more. Like, what are your intentions? Just, I guess growing up, it was definitely just like I felt like people were just like, thought I was annoying. And I was always like, I've always been me, the person I am right now. And I feel like growing up, I felt like people just didn't like I always just felt like I was annoying to people, and I was just the weird girl. I feel like, I am annoying, or I am whatever.
No, I mean that.
What do you mean?
Because what the negative of you being annoying is also literally the reason you have this success right now.
I see you struggling with the vagueness and vastness of this question. And I was just going to say, because I think girls tend to, sometimes you go through a breakup with a guy breaks up with you, and you see the person.
I was ready to answer.
You see the woman that they move on to next, and you're like, her?
Right.
Why?
Well, first of all, the move on to next usually is a long period for me.
Okay.
After a breakup, I feel like for months, even if I'd be cheating if I'm with somebody else still. Because like, I'm still grieving this thing, and it feels weird. So it takes me a while. And I also notice it takes me a while when getting into a relationship too.
Okay.
Like, it just adapting takes a while. I'm in a relationship, so being single, that's a weird thing to understand. And then once I'm single, being in a relationship feels like a weird thing. And then once you get in it, or once I feel like, okay, I think I could do this, and I want to do this with this person, then to make that commitment, that's like I'm sure it is for a lot of people, but that feels like a really big deal to me. Wow. It feels like what I imagine it feels like to get engaged for the average person. Like, we're deciding we're doing this. There's no backing out. Of course, people even get divorced. But like, once you make that decision, it's a really big deal.
Do you think this is partly because you come from a happily married home of parents who are still together? I call this the trauma of having happily married parents.
Man, even good stuff's trauma to you, huh?
I just mean the people that I know.
Your next book should be I'm Not Fine.
Well, it says, it already has that.
And Other Lies.
Yeah.
Right.
I do feel like the people that I know that come from these like happy homes are kind of like struggling with being in relationships and like committing because they want it to be perfect, because they've actually seen that template. I think my but I think my like trust in, okay, let's do this, comes from not my parents, but I didn't have friends growing up, really. And I didn't really realize that because it wasn't like, fuck you, Glassman, take a hike. Everyone was nice enough. I just like, they would include me, and then they wouldn't. And then like, I could play over. And then when everyone else would go in their house, Rick, you're not allowed in. And it's like, I don't understand what my dynamic is in so many relationships. With my brother, sometimes he was nice. Often he wasn't. With my neighbors, with the kids I went to school with, they were all friends on my street, but I was like not invited to the birthday parties. So an insecurity I might have, I have sometimes, like it might come up, and especially when I was younger, when I got into a little bit more awareness, is a kind of vague term is, oh, these people don't like me. Right? That's like a surface thing. But what does that mean? They don't like you. They think you're mean. They think you're not valuable. So then I got older, and the insecurity was, if I do a joke, or if I'm not even doing a joke and I see somebody look away, am I annoying you? Am I bothering you? Like, and it would make me feel like the insecurity was specifically, am I bothering you? Are you able to explain what your version of that is? Because you said you're insecure all in life, not just performance. So could you give some examples of what that means?
I just feel like I constantly just doubt people's like why would they want to be around me, or like what are your intentions with this? So and now I doubt even more. Like what are your intentions? Just I guess growing up it was definitely just like I didn't like, I felt like people were just like thought I was annoying, and I was always like, I've always been me, the person I am right now. And I feel like growing up I felt like people just didn't like I always just felt like I was annoying to people, and I was just the weird girl. I feel like, I am annoying, or I am whatever.
No, I mean that.
What do you mean?
Because what the negative of you being annoying is also literally the reason you have this success right now.
And they might be moving to California.
Sick.
So my mom talks to her on the phone and ultimately told me that, Bob, I don't remember what it was, but as I'm now talking about this stuff on stage, I'm like revisiting it, and I'm like coming from it in an adult perspective. And I now realize, his mom probably told my mom he doesn't want to play with Ricky. And my mom didn't want to tell me that. Now, if I were to ask my mom, there's no way she even remembers that. But like, I look back and it's like, I had no friends as a kid, and I never knew it until now. Like I said, like I just thought everyone was busy. I had the confidence that people liked me, but I didn't grow up feeling insecure or not included. I mean, subconsciously in some ways.
It's like me,
but
I didn't know we were poor until recently.
you still think you're poor, you fucking weirdo.
That is true. But growing up, I thought we were rich because my mom drank wine.
Right.
You know, I didn't.
I mean, have you seen 8 Mile?
But truly, like I would see wine in a glass, and I was like, "Oh, look at us!"
Right.
You guys have been doing this for a while. You have your like persona established.
Like people know who we are, because people don't know me.
Not because you guys just have been doing this, and you're like,
Right.
you got it down. Yeah, you've got your thing down.
Uh-huh.
I don't, and mine's kind of evolving and changing every single interview I do.
So you felt the same after Funny Marco as you did Drake. Not the same weight to it, but like, fuck, I blew it. I didn't do this.
Yeah.
When did you stop feeling that way?
I mean, I still feel that a little bit every time I do one.
You didn't feel it about the Today Show.
I know.
That one was,
but that wasn't supposed to
according
be
to your
funny.
agent, not good.
Yeah, I know. But see, apparently it wasn't good.
Was it good though?
It was fun. It was a Today Show.
It was good.
It was good.
Do you know how to read between the lines on that stuff?
Yeah, I do.
That's why you got to leave WME and go to CAA. Get him? What would be your pitch? why do you think, for people who are in this business who are now getting into comedy or acting or whatever, why do you think WME is one of the biggest agencies?
Number 2. What would be my pitch? It's because I spit all over myself.
Yeah, that's hey. That's WME for you. If you want an agent who literally drools all over himself and gives the talent lie answers, WME. Also, I'm thinking about going with WME to Andrew, so if so, I'll bleep around that.
I honestly thought I really did not think the Today Show was bad. It's just awful.
How could she do it better next time?
There's nothing you could do better about
You
that.
fucking crushed it, I hear. I also didn't see it, but are we allowed to show clips of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah. So this is it for you.
Well, this isn't it for me. I hope I'm going to have a couple more years of happiness.
I hope that for you too. Yeah, I didn't know what I did there, but she asked me to do the character. I did it.
But you were real up top.
Yeah, it was like going great. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good first time on live television.
So just so we're clear, I was fucking around. I'm sure you did good enough. So back to Funny Marco. You did Funny Marco, and then Drake followed you, and he told you, hey, Drake followed you, right? You didn't even notice at first?
Yeah. He called me and he said, do you see who just followed you? And I was like, what? And I looked and I was like, oh my God.
What does that feel like?
It was just like, it's Drake.
Right.
So it felt pretty cool.
According to the podcast, it seemed like maybe you weren't a huge fan of his, though. You just know
and like
him.
part of it, yeah. And so like that's the thing about my sense of humor is that it's like, I guess it's just, I don't know, you have the same sense of humor. It's like also
Sometimes
real.
you're an asshole.
Yeah, I guess. No.
And they might be moving to California.
Sick.
So my mom talks to her on the phone and ultimately told me that, Bob, I don't remember what it was, but as I'm now talking about this stuff on stage, I'm like revisiting it, and I'm like coming from it in an adult perspective. And I now realize, his mom probably told my mom he doesn't want to play with Ricky. And my mom didn't want to tell me that. Now, if I were to ask my mom, there's no way she even remembers that. But like, I look back and it's like, I had no friends as a kid, and I never knew it until now. Like I said, like I just thought everyone was busy. I had the confidence that people liked me, but I didn't grow up feeling insecure or not included. I mean, subconsciously in some ways.
It's like me,
but
I didn't know we were poor until recently.
you still think you're poor, you fucking weirdo.
That is true. But growing up, I thought we were rich because my mom drank wine.
Right.
You know, I didn't.
I mean, have you seen 8 Mile?
But truly, like I would see wine in a glass and I was like, oh, look at us.
Right.
I was a billing specialist. Yeah.
Well, you probably would have stopped doing that a while ago if you had the opportunity, right? Isn't that interesting that she didn't until your podcast took off? Do you think that she's using that as an opportunity?
To make money, yes, obviously. She's not going to do it for free.
Are
She
you
needs
only
to
doing
make
this for the money?
No, she was hanging out with me before and now she's getting paid to do it.
How much are you getting paid?
That's not any more information.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's private.
Well, you were bringing up my money.
I don't care about your money. Yeah, I've looked up your net worth. It said $5 million. How accurate is that?
It's spot on.
I don't really believe that you have that much money.
Again, it's how you define it. I love my friends. I love my family. I'm happy.
Do you own a house?
I don't. I rent.
Oh my God. It's really embarrassing, Rick. You have none. We know that. We've established that. How much money she makes is none
Well,
of
I
your
don't have that much
business.
money now, but I make a lot of money, but I'm supporting my grandma.
Oh, don't make stuff up.
I'm paying my grandma's
Maybe
bills.
go act in something else and make more money. They don't want you anymore?
Who's they?
I don't know the people who hire you.
To be honest with you, that's a sore subject because they were saying that they didn't like what I was doing.
I agree with them.
All right. Thank you for coming in.
No problem.
You know, you could be nice to her.
So what was
I
it?
get that you're an asshole to me, but be nice to her.
Did you think I was mean to you?
No,
What's that?
no, I don't think you're being mean.
Oh, if I do something that is, because sometimes like I do have a personality that is like I do silly stuff or dry stuff, and I didn't realize it. I thought everything was great, and in the hallway we were laughing, having a good time, and then now it's this. So I could, like the way you told me about my hair. Please also tell me, but I'm okay. Everything's okay, honestly.
I would say just let a little bit of air get into
Thanks.
the...
No, but I meant like the way like talking and everything that we've been doing. This is fine. Like we were having a good time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
And
Department stores.
if you saw my mom in action,
Oh, I'm the
I
best.
think you would have her on a roast.
I bet.
She is the best saleswoman. And here's the reason. My mom doesn't sell a product. She fulfills a need.
You know how hard it is to convince somebody they don't smell good?
Hold on one sec. Let me see. Give me your arm for a second. My mom will do that stuff, and she'll rub the lotion in. So it mixes with the oils in your body. It smells different on everybody.
Yep.
And
You're unique and you're special. This
Yeah.
smells different on you.
but
than
she'll
any-
smell it, and, and I've seen her. She'll go like, "I'll be honest, I don't think this is the one for you," and she'll
You
say
have
stuff
to.
like that. You have to do
You
that.
have to. And then also it's big to do like, no, don't put it directly on your skin. Walk through it. I'm going to spritz it.
Was
so
this
can
with you? I
walk
just
through
talked
it.
about on a podcast. I don't remember if it was with you. Perfume is done. I hate it. I can't stand it. It's too strong. If you need it, one spray, walk in.
Yep,
But I
walk
can't
through it.
stand
You can
smelling it.
also spray your clothes and then put the clothes on.
Like this.
Yeah, or just put it in your hair.
I'm going to do something that is really tactless on a podcast because it messes up momentum, but I feel comfortable with you.
Okay.
And here's the buzzer.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
going to use it.
Okay.
I need to use the bathroom.
Okay, great. And then when you come back, I want to maybe blow your mind about this kid that you thought was busy.
Okay. I just took a shit. That's the title of this episode. Rick Glassman takes a shit. Do you title episodes? Tell me when I get back. I'll be right back.
Liquid Death. You guys have seen the Liquid Death cans. You've seen them on my podcast. You've seen Bert's and Tom's, and you've seen us just generally look cooler than you. And is it because we're cooler than you? You tell me. I'm wearing an airbrush unicorn shirt that I got on Etsy. Bert and Tom, do they have any reason looking cooler than you, given their bodies and faces and choices? Don't think so. One Liquid Death can turns a 4 into a 10. So Liquid Death, my favorite water, because their philosophy is about death to plastic, okay? They are, as far as I know, the only water company that is not making plastic nonsense. Why do you think the orcas are so pissed off, dude? Liquid Death is...
He said it's like, I forgot exactly what he said, but it was something about like along the lines of we have similar senses of humor. He just did a different one that was like that's why I thought the 1% came from him doing one that was awkward.
Right.
I was like, okay, like he does awkward interviews. So maybe he'll say yes. I didn't think he would actually say yes. And he did. And then like 3 days after that, I flew to Memphis.
Then what? How do you find, I mean, there's his camera people. He said, how do you, location, cameras?
Well, it's just because he's, it's obviously he's
tall.
He was about to go on tour. So I was like, he basically like laid out his schedule and I knew that the sooner I did it, the better. So I just made it work. I was like, okay, could you do it like now, basically? And he was like, yeah, I guess. So
what has been the response of little Yachty chewing so loudly into the microphone?
Let's both go.
Excuse me?
Let's both go since we're his best friends.
Where are we going?
People don't like it. People
Yeah.
don't like it. I haven't watched our full interview.
Oh, you didn't edit that one?
No, I don't edit them anymore. My videographer has been editing
I have
it.
to give you a little advice.
Yeah.
Let them edit it. Watch your podcasts.
I have realized that now. I've learned that now.
Tell me
I'm
why.
back to, because I got like, I would read comments and I'd be like, dang, why do you leave that in? I hated that part. And then I was like, I don't want to have that feeling anymore of like, why did that get left in? So I was like, I need to start watching them over.
Another reason to watch them, and I say this because advice, a little intention to have while watching them, is to also, like I would do on mine and see stuff and like I would either not be interested in the topic or interrupt with a joke, which I still do way too much, but a lot less than I used to. And I'll see like, I'll be able to watch me as like I'm watching this person and just like, oh, that's no, I'm fucking up the flow, or I like that, lean more into that stuff.
Yeah.
And especially because you're finding your voice. Not only seeing the things that you don't like or that you want to do different, but also like finding what it is that your wheelhouse is and like.
Gotcha.
Excuse me. Edit around that.
Thank you for the advice.
So you did Drake. It went well. And then now you're a celebrity.
Wouldn't say that.
You're making good money.
I haven't made anything yet. Soon.
I've seen the YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
But you haven't gotten it yet, you mean?
Yeah, I have seriously like just debt right now. Lots of debt.
Yeah,
I can't.
$20,000 worth?
I don't have any money
None?
at all.
The reason was I felt like I was lying. I already said this. I already did this. I already told people this.
That's like what we do for a living. We
Yes.
say the same thing every
That's
night
great.
and we make it feel fresh.
Sure, that's the craft, not the mindset behind it.
Right.
I've had conversations with some people like, who cares? That's what you're supposed to
Most
do.
people go to see you, they're like, I hope he's done this before and practiced it.
But I've talked to a fair amount of comedians who also say, yeah, I know you have to get past that. They felt it too. I feel that way interpersonally as well. Like if I'm telling you something that I just told somebody else, I feel like I just want to let you know I said this already.
I just feel like we are so hard on ourselves. I'm just looking to kind of liberate myself a little bit from the places of how hard I am on myself. I think because I'm only around people who are also hard on themselves, which is good. I realize when I go on a podcast and I'm just saying something, when Riley Reid was on, she said about how when she got into porn, the first time she was on her period and they told her to put a sponge in her pussy. And I'm like, I was just talking about this. I couldn't just talk about it. I had to say like, oh yeah, I just talked about this on Tana Mojo's podcast.
Have you seen that montage of Lady Gaga interviews where she said the same thing 18 times?
That's my nightmare.
There you go.
There can be 100 people in the room and 99 don't believe in you. You can have 100 people in the room and 99 don't believe in you. There can be 100 people in the room and 99 don't believe in you and just one does. You know, there can be 100 people in the room and 99 don't believe in you and just one does.
That's my nightmare.
Had she said, I just said this 16 times, we would be like, all right, she's just on the press run.
What if, they could have cut it out too.
Sure.
They could still cut it out.
But I don't think you'll be cutting that out of this.
But don't you think we should be so lucky if people actually were like, oh, I've heard him say this before. I've heard her say this before.
If you want to talk about being grateful for something with the cons that come with it, sure.
Yeah.
But if you're able to avoid those cons by just prefacing things, if everything I was actually just I actually just went to the bathroom the other day, but can I go to the bathroom now? Like that's like, okay.
Yeah. I'm just curious if we do it for each other to be like, I don't want you to think I'm
do
a
it for me.
hack. or if we're doing it for the audience, because
I do it with no cameras.
I do it too. And I think when I hear someone do it, I'm like, no one cares. You don't have to tell on yourself. But then I do it like
That's
I have Tourette's
probably why you're
about
so
it.
sensitive to it, because you do it.
Tourette's about it.
Yeah. I was actually talking to somebody the other day about, it's like, it doesn't take that long to say that.
It's true. No, it's true. And sometimes it's just us going, and I've said this before, let me just get my shame out of the way, or let me just let you know that if you've heard it, I know.
Esther, which by the way, I want to also take an advantage to promote. I'm doing a podcast with Esther Pavitsky.
Nice.
Called Rick and Esther Have a Time.
Great.
Check it out and all the things. But
it was just like, it's Drake.
Right.
So it felt pretty cool.
According to the podcast, it seemed like maybe you weren't a huge fan of his, though. You just know
and like
him.
part of it, yeah. And so like that's the thing about my sense of humor is that it's like, I guess it's just, I don't know, you have the same sense of humor. It's like also
sometimes
real.
you're an asshole.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. No, but not in an asshole way. It's just like I genuinely like, I knew who he was.
Sure.
I didn't realize how big he was, I guess.
You're saying
like,
tall.
How well known he was.
Established?
How well known he was.
Got
I
it.
didn't realize like that, like he was that, like it's like I didn't realize like everyone kind of knew who he was.
People used to call me Drake a lot because I used to look like him a little. Put up a picture.
Is that what Drake looks like?
And because we're both Jewish.
You guys are.
And we're both really good rappers.
Yeah.
Freak street economic. No stop the rhythm rhyme it. Pop lock and divine it.
My daughter passed when she was 7 years old. I cried, I grieved, I had to bury her soul. I thought, damn, this is loving life and living it, killing it, loving it, silliness. So I mask it inside, I bury hidden it. Joke be nothing but fire breaching the girth, breaching your worth. Lord Jesus Christ is taking the earth, I scorched. I heard it when I heard it, Lord above a 39. I push it in cleavage, F in the night. Gorge on, it's done. Hitting up on my factory. It's that, factory, mastery. Back to the back, factory, tack, take it back to me. Now I live it and love it and taking living in the vision. Yeah, and now.
The girls were nice to me one day. They were mean to me the other day. And I'm like, I come from an alcoholic home with trauma, sexual abuse. This is worse.
Is that you showing up to prom? I come from an alcoholic home, sexual abuse. My name is Whitney Cummings, and I am not well.
and like that did so much more damage, I feel like, in a lot of ways.
You got to learn these things, man.
Because your parents, like, they screw up and they love you and then they don't. And it's kind of like, okay, that's who you are. But you guys, like, you can't even invite me to your party. Like, you're conniving.
And they tell me the reason is because their parents said no. And I grew up believing. I remember a kid, I called him maybe once a week for a year to come over. And I just believed he was always busy. But then
doing what? The kids don't have anything to do.
Doesn't matter. I believed everything when I was a kid. I had no idea people lied. I'm working on this bit now where I talk about, I don't know if my parents are liars or human, because I'm realizing, people just say things to make it easier. And it's not very intuitive to me. I am, however, very naturally skeptic to things. So I'll ask a lot of questions to try to figure out. Mm-hmm. But like I remember he told me that one time he said his mom said he couldn't, blah, blah, blah. And I said, could my mom talk to your mom? And he said,
yeah, well, I mean, it's already been aired. Unless you want me to cut it out, you'll tell me after we could cut all that out. But in the meantime, how about I come in and try it differently?
Okay.
And then maybe same?
Sure.
Should we both walk into it?
No, I'm sitting down. You can walk into it.
Okay.
Just in case we don't use any of the stuff that happened before, let's make it seem like she was already here and I was a little late. There was a person on the, I don't want to get into it, but, and then everything's already set up. What you think?
20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
She's really funny.
4,
I'm glad to do this.
3, 2.
Hey, Bobby, sorry I'm late. Hey.
Hi. What are you doing?
I was just gonna hug you hello. Is that
Sure.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I was coming in from the tunnel and there's a little bit of traffic. But I was watching I hadn't seen some of your older TikToks, the stuff you were doing like before the podcast. They're really, really funny. I saw a couple before when I did your first one. But it's fun to see you do that, like take that niche of like being a young mom and then expanding it into all this other stuff with the podcast. How's that been going?
Really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you, Rick.
When I did your podcast, you told me that you weren't even having a podcast. You were just filming and posting clips. And then boom.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to?
What do you mean?
Like you're people are calling you an industry plant. You're not the only one. Go over to the plant. You got that? So, and they think that because like, where did this girl come from? I mean, sure, she had great mom content for a while, but like, where's she getting all these big celebrities? And here you are blowing up. You were on Good Morning America today. What was it? The Today Show?
Yes.
The Today Show. I keep getting them confused. I've done them all.
Okay.
And to me, I don't know which is which. I just know it's morning television.
Yeah.
How heck is it fun to do?
I was just
I
making
don't
fun
like
of.
it when people make me sound like an asshole.
How is that making you sound like an asshole? If you were to ask me, do you sound like an asshole? I would say nay. All I'm saying is, when you say, like, because I've been working with horses, it was a throwaway. My dad owns a rug store, and the thing is, I want people to know is, I love home decor. It's just, it feels like you're forcing it in. If you're looking for just the right flooring, you need choices. And at Marshall Carpet One, you'll find thousands of choices, including carpet, hardwood, rugs, and luxury vinyl. So make the right choice and visit Marshall Carpet One and Rug Gallery. And we promise, with more than 50 years as a family-owned business, we've got you covered! And we're back.
I hate it when you finally say something relatable and then they make you sound like you're an asshole.
What's an asshole about working with horses?
No, I'm kidding. No, but I'm just saying I have a hard time with social cues, and at least 70% of communication is nonverbal, and it drives me nuts when someone only focuses on the verbal.
So I don't know about that statistic about 70%. I know a lot of it is nonverbal. I also have learned that that's their way of communicating. Here's an example. You're dating a guy, right? And he's got a different love language than you. That doesn't mean you have to have his. It just means you understand his, right?
Yeah, it's helpful.
So when other people communicate like this, that's their communication.
It's a stroke.
And even when I like do interviews, it's like people think probably that I just like snap into this character who's really awkward, but it's like, no, I was already really awkward. And then
I watch you literally once you're in your head for a second, and I'll take responsibility for being really good at this, that you kind of
I feel uncomfortable. Yeah, I don't think that's going to go away. So you're like, oh, what happens when you like that uncomfort goes away? I don't think it'll ever go away.
Tell me some examples, at least one from Drake on after, where you felt you were in a pocket and like you were being awkward or weird, but in a good way, where you're like, this is
during the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I just, well, now I'm just able to like, I know this character. I try to build, and that's why I think it'll be like a long lasting thing, is I build off of the like how uncomfortable. So going into Yachty's episode, I genuinely felt so uncomfortable getting to his house.
I know that Drake is tall, but he prefers to be referred to as Little Yachty, please.
Yes. Okay.
Some people, it's their,
okay. Going into Yachty's house, I felt really uncomfortable. Like it was such an uncomfortable setting.
Because everything was so small and low.
No, because are you gonna fuck with me or do you want the real answer?
Do you want the real answer of what you just asked me?
Yeah.
I want to fuck around too.
To show up early is such a bigger power move.
I think 45 minutes early it's too early.
So that's the ultimate power move.
I think showing up within 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes early.
Early?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the other person needs to be ready 5 minutes early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I like to be a little early, but.
Well, you let me know how the weed journey is going. I'm very jealous.
Stop.
Sorry, gosh. You know what? Ron Funches did this to me once when I was like, "Are you stoned?" And he was like, "You just ruined it for me." I'm like, I didn't realize if someone's stoned, you're not allowed to talk about it. Because like you're not ostensibly stoned. You probably get like more clear and just more confident.
Now,
become a better version of yourself.
by ostensively, what does that word mean?
Just obvious from what I can see.
Do you ever use words that there are better easier words, but like when people say superfluous, I'm just like, to say it doesn't matter.
Superfluous is a great word, but superfluous is not a perfect synonym.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
No, it means extra. Like that's a superfluous jacket. You don't need it. You already have a jacket on. That's superfluous.
You could just say you don't need it.
Yeah, but that's 3 words. It's actually faster to say it the other way.
Superfluous, don't need it.
You
One
could say
syllable
extra.
less.
You could say extra. That's like extra or unnecessary.
When people say that word, it makes me think of if you ask somebody how they're doing, and if you ask me how I'm doing.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? And if you don't go back with good and instead say well, it's fine if you open with well.
Oh.
I'm doing well. It's fine if you open with well to me.
I think like I'm well. Like what are we? Like the
it's superfluous.
Viking
You're
times.
bragging. It feels like you're bragging. It's like eating an apple outside.
When have you ever asked someone how they were and they said well?
Many times.
Really?
Yeah.
Everyone I know is always like, I'm hanging in there. You're like, all right, bye.
Oh, I hang around with people that aren't so sad.
Well, you know when you ask them how they're doing and they won't just say I'm fine. Like this is a formality, what we're doing. Like this is performative. And they're like, yeah, it's just kind of, and you're like, oh, bye. I didn't sign up for whatever this was.
I am the opposite. I actually talk about on stage the rules of how you're doing rules and how uncomfortable it is and how manufacturer manipulative. And if I ask somebody, it's because like, tell me something.
If I ask you how you're doing, you better say great and we're moving on.
Ask me how I'm doing.
How are you doing?
Do you want the truth?
Well, I kind of asked it like I really want to know the answer, which I love that. But if I go, hey, how are you? That just means
what do you
hi.
want from me? I'll say.
I would go like, how are you? That means I want to know the answer.
Because you squinted.
Well, I just went like my body language is squaring up to you and I'm not walking past you.
It sounds like a Native American giving me an Indian name.
How?
How are you? A Native American writing for Yoda, giving somebody a name. How are you?
That's funny, the idea that they were naming Native Americans and they got to you and they were just like, how?
Yeah.
Like, how did he get here? And that ended up being your name. But I think body language is more. If you're walking by being like, hey, how are you? That doesn't mean stop me and tell me how your Prozac's not mixing well.
Do you know what I do when someone gives me a how are you when it's just they're not meaning it? Maybe I'll say good. Hell, maybe I'll say well. I don't ask back. Now that's getting there 45 minutes early.
I think I would go. So ask
if it's a walker buyer. Ask me. Let me show you.
Hey, Rick, how are you?
Hey, Whitney, I'm good.
I'm good too, thanks.
Real good, Whitney.
I would probably be like, no mirror neurons over there, bud.
Good to see you, Whitney.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
But wait, I like that. Do you want the truth? I do like that.
You told me something I was here last time. I said something that you liked.
I do.
What was that?
But wait, can we do this actually role play? Because I want to make sure that this is something I really do want to sign up for. So,
do you want to cut to a sponsor?
BetterHelp, always. We both need it. So
I'm doing well.
Will you do the truth? How are you?
You want the truth?
What am I signing up for?
First base. We'll be right back.
I would have to know. Is it like the 2-minute version or like the 10-minute version?
Yeah, I ask that sometimes. And sometimes if I'm going to tell somebody, like sometimes I have little stories or anecdotes and I say, I have this thing I want to tell you. It's going to take like 2 minutes. Are you into it?
I love a managing expectations thing.
Yes, because if you say yes and I'm now telling it and I haven't hit all the beats yet or whatever, I'm thinking like, should I keep going?
Yeah.
But once I say yes, I'm like, I got 2 minutes.
I'll give you the light if you go past 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I hate putting pressure on people. It really stresses me out for some reason. So being pregnant has been really tricky. So people will go like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm pregnant, but you don't need to do anything about it.
I get the first part. I think the second part is something we could zoom in on. To assume that they feel that they need to do something about it.
No, where people are like, that's great. I'm like, you don't have to ask questions. It's all on Instagram. Like, you don't have to
I'm asking a lot of energy from someone. Like it's a big thing
I
you
don't
have to
feel
respond
that.
to. Most people, I think, kind of like, well, who is it? What kind? What
kind?
And I'm always like, you don't have to do this, but maybe they just want to, and my brain thinks I'm trapping them.
Or maybe they have to. They feel like they have to do it, and that's their thing.
I was cornered the other night with a, hey, how are you? And I was just cheated on, and my marriage is over, and I was just like,
Did you ask them how they were?
I just walking by quick.
But you asked. That's on you.
I know. I wasn't. Then
You have.
And even when I like do interviews, it's like people think probably that I just like snap into this character who's really awkward, but it's like, no, I was already really awkward. And then
I watch you literally once you're in your head for a second, and I'll take responsibility for being really good at this, that you kind
I feel uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to go away. So you're like, oh, what happens when you like that uncomfort goes away? I don't think it'll ever go away.
Tell me some examples, at least one, from Drake on after, where you felt you were in a pocket and like you were being awkward or weird, but in a good way, where you're like,
During the podcast?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess now I'm just able to like, I know this character. I try to build, and that's why I think it'll be like a long lasting thing, is I build off of the like how uncomfortable. So going into Yachty's episode, I genuinely felt so uncomfortable getting to his house.
I know that Drake is tall, but he prefers to be referred to as Little Yachty, please.
Yes. Okay.
Some people, it's their,
Going into Yachty's house, I felt really uncomfortable. Like it was such an uncomfortable setting.
Because everything was so small and low.
No, because are you gonna fuck with me, or do you want the real answer?
Do you want the real answer of what you just asked me?
Yeah.
I want to fuck around too.
What I'm saying is,
like
that's
if I
her
do
preface.
that, I don't have the question. If I go,
actually, it's funny.
All right, you don't have to tell on yourself, but then I do it like
That's
I Tourette's.
probably there's something I really want to.
Because like by the way,
ask you.
because I'm saying like we're literally my only job here is to ask you questions.
Esther, can I ask? I'm going to ask you a question.
Like, that's the conceit of this whole thing. It means I'm trying to come up with one, and I just need to like put some drivel in.
I want to go
maybe
back.
she's not
I want to
doing
go back to the roast thing.
Maybe she knows your triggers. Yes, please.
No, I think that's just her. I'm saying that is another example of like, oh, I just said this the other day. Like they're saying it for themselves.
Yep.
They're finding a safety to ask the question or to repeat the story.
Copy. Can I ask you one question though about that stuff and about being lied to and trying to figure out if you're being lied to? Do I tell my kid about Santa Claus? Because I'm really torn about it and I don't want to.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't want to lie to my kid at all. Did you think that any of our parents lying to us about the Easter Bunny and Tooth Fairy and all that did any damage?
No.
Hot take?
No, not at all. I could understand that, and I don't think it's wrong. But also, you are taking away something.
So where do you think the paranoia came from of not knowing, are we together, are we not together, just from friends in high school?
You said it, when words and actions don't line up. And when there's inconsistencies, when this is okay today, but it's not tomorrow.
Yes.
Could you tell me, like, what was that experience like?
I don't feel like this is real right now. Like
I can imagine because, well, I guess we're letting people in on it if we didn't show the beginning part. I can imagine because it's such a difference, but I'm being sincere now. Like it's really cool to do that stuff. And this is your first time on television?
Yes.
And your first time on television is live television?
Yes.
I mean, that's nerve-wracking.
Uh-huh.
What would you like for me to make you feel comfortable?
Maybe if you didn't start this off by being so mean, I would be able to. If you had just started it off being nice, then
so there's no recovery now, huh?
I don't know. I'm trying.
I believe that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Can I tell you something? And it might be because this is kicking in a little bit. For the first time since we sat down, I feel like I see you now. That I'm trying that you just said, I believe.
Thank you.
I get that. I know what it's like to be in some form of a character and then like trying to balance that in and out with sincerity. And then like, well, once you reveal this, you can't go back to it. That was my stand-up for a very long time. Like, well, I can't let them in on it. And not to get into that now, unless you're interested, we could talk about that later. But like part of the craft that is like going in and out of both without negating the other one. And I would like to have a real conversation with you.
Okay.
But you don't feel like you're in the pocket yet, right? Is that what's happening? Are you a little nervous?
I don't know what to say to you.
I gotta say, and again, maybe it's this. I do feel like I'm seeing you now. I feel like it's coming.
Okay.
Did you finish your coffee?
Yeah. Did you buy me another one? Do you have water for me?
Yeah.
I got fucking Bobby all off. I'm frozen.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This, I don't need all of this because this is cold brew and it just lights me up. I don't know if that's weird, but if you have your cup, I could pour some of this.
I'm good with the water. Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome. Oh, it's my grandma. She needs another 100,000.
You don't have 100,000, Rick.
What's that?
You don't have 100,000.
Okay. This is the best it's going to be, right?
Yeah. It's the lighting.
It's what?
It's the lighting.
What is it doing? Do you see, how does my hair?
I think your hair looks great, Rick.
Okay. All right, so we're going to do a lot of trimming. We're going to figure out, we're going to make it all flow beautifully.
Yeah.
So I'm very...
I'm a acts of service and
Well, I would love to get you some headphones.
Can I ask you something? Is there, because I know you know a
Well,
lot
but why are we leaving this?
No, we don't have to.
Let's stay on this for a
Let's
minute.
stay.
I think
This is going
our
great.
audience
Okay.
would like if we could stay on something for 30 seconds.
Okay. You did this when I was on your podcast.
Well, you did this while you were on my podcast.
when I have nothing more to say on a topic, I'm like, let's pivot.
Great. Well, you have nothing more to say.
Okay. Okay, great.
Are you familiar with the expression below the line?
Of employees?
Okay, so no.
Okay. Below the line is what you call
That's not what I
crew,
mean.
which is I find insulting.
Conversationally.
No.
Okay, so here we are right now. We're talking about communication, verbal, nonverbal, love languages. Oh, that's on the same track. Once we start talking about like something else, the horses, we're like, we could stay there for a minute, but if it doesn't bob back up, we could just say, hey, we're below the line. Let's get back to where the line was.
Sure.
So sometimes I like to visualize conversations, establish what that line is.
Sure.
Once we close that line, we start a new one.
Sure.
Love languages. When you know, what is your, and I believe, I don't know what you refer to him as, but I believe you refer to him as my man, right? Is
My
that how
guy,
he's
yeah,
known?
my
guy.
dude, sure.
You're my dude.
Yeah.
What is his love language to give
His
you?
is acts of service.
Right, so that's why it
It
works.
is not words of affirmation. He's like, what's his name from Princess Bride? He's like gonna wash the car and do all this stuff that I didn't even ask him to do, even though.
Who is it in The Princess Bride?
What's his name? Carrie Elway's character. Who's just like polishing saddles and doing stuff. Wesley. He does acts of service, which I really appreciate, but he doesn't communicate about when he's going to do them.
But he does know if the woman expresses her needs, he will do as she wishes. Will she not? And that's why if you tell me that what you need is acts of service, now I know.
But the acts of service need to be something I, number one, value, and number two, I know it's happening. So I can't find my computer for 20 minutes. And he's like, oh, well, I'm updating it. And I'm like, well, you have to